Hello, Guardians. It is Ebontis. It is TWAB Day. It is October 13th. Shout out to my mom's birthday. But also, it's a big TWAB. They literally say it is going to be a hefty TWAB. Now, last week, they did a pretty lengthy Q&A. I was out of town on vacation. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the Lost Sector guides. But we are going to talk about last week's TWAB on the podcast tonight, along with the changes we've got in here, too. So if you do want to catch the podcast, definitely tune in. It will be live on my YouTube channel right here, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Come check it out. It's just the three of us hosts, no guests, kind of catching up on everything. Also, Advanced GG, they launched their cans. This is the Electric Frostberry. There's also Cherry Limeade and the original. The original is like a lemonade, Cherry Limeade. Those two are duking it out. Not saying this one's bad, just my preference is the original lemonade and then the Cherry Limeade, both fantastic. And they are available on advancedgg.com. Use code Ebontis, 10% off. I got my cans in like 2 business days. It was ridiculously fast shipping because they're using quick shipping. So they're coming from like different places around the country. So if you want to check them out, try them. I'm enjoying them. As usual, Advanced GG using a fully transparent label. Check out everything in there and just quality ingredients. Probably better than La Rockstar or something that you're drinking. So my advice, if you want a good drink, that's the way to go. If you didn't like the powder, but a can's preferable, just wanted to shout that one out. Now, Trick or Treat, Festival of the Lost starts next week. They are going to do the trailer Tuesday morning. So keep that in mind. But we also have the armor here. Now, I can say, like, the Warlocks, probably not my favorite. So if you guys don't love yours, I get that. Hunter, I can definitely see some cool aspects to it. Definitely some fun transmog. Me being a Titan center stage, I'm sorry, but I love the look of this one. Also because the Titan monster armor I didn't love. Now the monster, I could tell the dinosaur, there was some cool stuff. I get it, but I did vote robot, and I'm just digging on this one. I like the way it looks. I think it's pretty cool. So that will be coming with Festival of the Lost. Nobody knows if it's going to be Festival of the Lost sectors. There does seem to be rumors of a new weapon that seems to basically be in the API. So it seems like we've got a sniper rifle coming. Heads up. I'm not doing all the data mining and all that, but we'll get the details Tuesday morning. National Coming Out Day also was on October 11th. Basically, Bungie also kind of confirmed status of some people in the Destiny universe, whether it be the Drifter. We've got the Cloud Striders that are going to be a whole different thing. They're like jacked non-Guardians, but I'm pretty sure they can handle their own. So very curious to meet those in Nightfall. Some cool wallpapers. Check it out. And, you know, just shout out to support for everybody out there. All right, Destination Materials update. Now, again, I was reading some of the update from a cruise, so I didn't get all the details, but Josh Kalinsky, seen him on Twitter, kind of a fun dude to follow. Basically, here they talked about Destination Materials, because this is, I read, didn't hit record, so I'll be able to get through this a little quicker. If I take longer on other stuff, I didn't pre-read this whole thing. So, Destination Materials, Dustlight Shards, Helium Filaments, Microphasic Data Last, they're going to basically go bye-bye. They're not dropping in the world anymore when Season 19 starts. Now, they're not going to be fully deprecated from your inventory, because they say the keyword here is to obtain. You won't obtain anymore. But they're not fully removing them from the game. Basically, what they're going to do is, well, I'll get to that in a second. They're trying to make the economy easier. If I look at my consumables right now on screen, and there's like 48 out of 50 slots filled, that's a bit much. And they're going to trim up some of the excess stuff we don't need. The destination materials aren't really serving a purpose. We have Glimmer, Legendary Shards, and enough other things. We don't need all these destination materials that you don't really care about. Now, I'll tell you guys about as far as I got. They've been around for a while. I mean, farming spin metal for like the swords in Destiny 1 was a thing, but we've just kind of moved beyond that. And if they're doing anything to try and help the new players have a better experience, totally for that. And again, these things aren't really serving a purpose. They're just like out there. Sometimes you pick them up. If you had to farm for them as a new player, that probably still sucks. Times they are exchanging. So you will be able to exchange most of these materials for 5,000 Glimmer for a stack of 20 destination materials. So you will be able to basically take any currencies that you've got, dump them into Rahul for Glimmer. So if you need to stock up on Glimmer, you'll be able to still do that for quite a while. He will also have some new items, which I'm dying to get rid of. Dark Fragments, Phantasmal Fragments, Hero Ace Pieces. I have a lot of some of those, so again, if I can just exchange them for Glimmer every so often, it'll let me start getting them out of my inventory. They said the cost for Legendary Shards, Enhancement Prisms, Ascendant Shards, that's basically going to be the same, minus the Destination Materials. So that's about as far as I got in reading it without hitting the record button, so now we're kind of where I actually was. Public service. Now that you know about the changes to the material exchange, you're probably thinking, well, there goes the easiest way to get Glimmer. To offset this, we want to take an opportunity to breathe life into a gameplay loop that hasn't seen much attention, public events. Now, I stopped there, and I'm going, all right, I know everybody will sometimes do a public event for whatever reason. Hit a rally flag, do a random public event. I honestly don't know how this is going to go, if they're really going to give them a lot of life, but in Season 19, public events will be getting a big Glimmer boost, especially the heroic versions. So the next time you see Fallen mining Glimmer on the EDZ, take a moment to hop off your Sparrow and help your fellow Guardians take home some of that sweet shimmering Glimmer. When completing heroic public events, players can expect to earn 10 to 12,500 Glimmer. Honestly, better than I thought. If you do a public event, you get 10,000 Glimmer. That's not bad. That gives you a reason to stop, knock it out, and move on. If now the normal, much less incentive. But if you knock out and you get 12,500 Glimmer, you know what? There's not much benefit to public events, but if you need to farm a little Glimmer and you're doing public events a couple times and you got a good chunk, I'm totally fine with that. This is also a really nice way to help new players bump up their Glimmer stores pretty quickly as they're running around doing basic stuff like public events. As they're leveling up, this is good. I totally support this. Public events don't do much, but helping new players and getting a chunk of Glimmer if you need a quick boost, I'm totally fine with that. These are raw numbers without Glimmer boosting mods, so if you get extra Glimmer, like on your Ghost or from Rainmaker mod or Rainmaker consumables, still going to be more. That's a chunk though. I'm cool with that. The price have changed. As mentioned earlier, the only use for destination materials will be the material exchange. That means anything that previously cost the player destination materials, such as purchasing exotic weapons and the momentum monument to Lost Lights, will see some updates. In the case these legendary exotic weapons, destination materials will be replaced by legendary shards. So legendary shards are probably just going to take over. Other items that once saw destination materials as part of their purchase cost, such as upgrade modules, enhancement prisms, ascended shards, just not going to have that be an option. Mod Squad. I will say before we go any farther, mods, every single mod needs to be available from Ada or someone. Someone needs to sell every mod all the time. Now, maybe it may take you a little while, but if you do want to go like buy a certain mod, it should just be available. The rotation needs to go. So if you're having frustration trying to complete your collection of mods, I get it. I'm with you. That whole system of like 4 rotating out, it's got to go. Because some of those things, as they're random, don't come through all the time. And if you're out of town for a day or a week like I was and you miss it, you're like, oh. So anyway, in a world without destination materials, there are a few Ghost mods that need to be addressed. First, the 3 materials mods will be removed. Additionally, the Bountiful Harvest mods functionality has changed. Equipping this mod to your Ghost will now increase Glimmer when harvesting from resource nodes. Okay. Didn't sound like resource nodes were still going to be there. Anyway, that's the weird. I guess we'll just see what the Ghost changes are coming. I'm living in a material world and I'm a material guardian. The primary source of destination materials has always been resource nodes scattered across various destinations. These resource nodes are not going anywhere, and it's still in every player's best interest to collect from any of these nodes you see along your journey. As many players noticed with the release of Witch Queen, the deposits of fundamental osmium found around Savathun's throne world did not grant a currency, but instead delivered Glimmer, XP, and reputation directly to the player. Though we will not be creating new reputation systems for our previous destinations, such as Devrim, Failsafe, Petra, we'll be working to improve these experiences probably in the future. In fact, Devrim and Failsafe, our longest tenured destination vendors who have been with us since the Red War, will be getting a small update in Season 19. Honestly, have no idea what that could be. Maybe their armor and weapons don't totally suck, because they sell like basic greens with no stats. Maybe they actually have something worthwhile in visiting. I wouldn't hold your breath that it's worth much for a player who's been playing for a little while, but maybe a new player can get a little more benefit from them. It would be nice for some new player to go from the Cosmodrome to the EDZ to Nessus and give you a little bit more of a path to get through. We'll see. The reputation systems that saw players turning in destination materials to gain reputation ranks have been removed. This also means that there are no longer rank requirements to purchase armor at these vendors, kind of how it is now. Additionally, the ghost shells and emblems that were once earned via reputation ranks can now be purchased directly from Devrim for 10 legendary shards. If you're just trying to complete a collection, apparently it won't be too hard. We've also increased the number of daily bounties that Devrim and Failsafe offer from 3 to 4. It's kind of nice. Though we don't have repeatable bounties to add to these destinations at this time, brings us closer to parity across all destination vendors. Yeah, if you are, bounty farming and bounty prepping for a new season, these guys only having 3. Nice to have 4. Finally, we will be removing the sale of sunset weapons from both vendors when the season goes live. This is largely to prevent players from wasting resources on weapons that cannot be upgraded. Fair. Destiny Brazil has entered the chat. I am not from Brazil, but we've got the Latin American community manager, Bruno. He's saying hello. This TWAB could also be this week at Brazil since we launched our social media channels for Brazil on Tuesday. Very cool. So definitely check him out. You've got Bruno. He is the community manager for the Latin American area. And also we're doing a community focus on a Latin American creator. So that's pretty sick. Mid-season weapon tuning. So we got trace rifle, pulse rifle, auto rifle. This is the one from previous Festival of the Lost. This is from Iron Banner. Trace rifles. All right, Mercules is back. This is always exciting. Had him on the podcast a while ago. Very fun dude. Happy to see him at Bungie. Seems to be a good guy to have in there. Last week, we had a nice chat with the weapons team covering a wide array of questions. They also touched on some plans for weapon tuning coming in the mid-season patch next week. So Associate Designer Mercules is back again. And he says, hello, Mercules here. We have a lot to talk about in the mid-season patch for weapon standpoint, so let's dive right in. One note before we get started. When we say ease of use, which is a cute phrase, we usually mean one or a combination of the following things. Stability, aim assist, recoil direction, body shot, time to kill, or optimal time to kill crit percentage, i.e. requiring a weapon that requires 100% critical shots to achieve optimal time to kill is lower ease of use, and a weapon requiring 50% critical shots to get optimal is higher ease of use. Okay, that makes sense. We have seen this question asked a lot, and that makes sense. Like, more stability, better aim assist, recoil direction, body shot time of kill, makes sense. Okay, so archetypes. Auto rifles see strong usage in most PvP activities, around 25%, but that drops to around 13% in in-game PvP. We often hear, excuse me. We often hear suggestions that we should decrease the TTK or increase the range of auto rifles. But we have investigated those options and found that with very minor changes to either, they can quickly become oppressive. They are afraid of making auto rifles too strong, so I can promise you it's not going to be probably a damage bump. As it stands, several high impact and precision frame auto rifles are already capable of outranging hand cannons. At least one adaptive frame can as well. And we do not want them wholeheartedly competing with pulse rifles in the 40-meter range. In addition, even a single bullet reduction in TTK places many auto rifle subfamilies into best-in-class lethality. Literally, the number of bullets it takes to kill you, if they make it one less bullet on an auto rifle, that time to kill now starts creeping in on a bunch of other stuff. As such, we've decided to lean more heavily into increasing their ease of use and making them feel better to shoot without within their optimal ranges, with a substantial buff to stability. Nice. Although the change is only to the high end of the stat curve, the change affects a stat value, all stat values above 0, increasing effects as you get higher. So if you're at 0 stability, it got a little better. If you're at 100 stability, it got a lot better. So leaning into stability on an auto rifle is one of those stats that may have more benefit now. So maybe if you go more stability, less range, it may just be easier to use, but you may not have quite the range. But in the place where auto rifle should be, leaning into stability is going to make them even feel better. Precision frame auto rifles specifically have languished since Uriel's Gift meta of early Destiny 2. And that's honestly, like, I miss Uriel's Gift. Now that we have the Amit AR2, the new one that you can craft this season. Basically the same thing, and I'm happy to have it back. Excuse me. As such, we've slightly brought their critical hit multiplier for precision hit frames multiplier up to increase the critical hit damage, which, combined with the body shot damage buff from last season, puts them in a much stronger position without directly lowering the optimal TTK. General, increase the effects of the stability stat on recoil reduction by 20% on the high end. So if you go really heavy into stability, you're going to get up to about 20% of a benefit from it. Precision frames increase the crit damage multiplier from 1.5 to 1.55. Crit damage goes up by 1 point. Basically what that's going to do is if you get headshots and you're getting multiple, it's still going to take you 7 headshots to kill a Guardian. But now if you get the headshot versus the body shot buff, if you do miss a headshot, now getting that 8 or 9 shots is going to be a little more forgiving is the idea. Generally, it seems like they're trying not to make auto rifles broken, but they're trying to make them easier to use, a little more competitive. And if you lean into stability benefits for an auto rifle, you actually kind of steer people slightly away from range, which is going to kind of put them a little more probably where they want them, I would guess. You can lean into range if you can control it, but for the average person, stability is going to be, I think, more beneficial and probably more ease of use. Bows. As mentioned in previous TWAB, we wanted to reduce the effectiveness of max speed bow swapping as a strategy, because right now some people will hit you with a bow, switch weapons to like a hand cannon, and body shot you to end you, because bows can hit you really hard. As it is functionally fast enough that is nearly impossible to counter in high-level gameplay. Exactly. Somebody is good with a bow, and you just have one, and you have a hand cannon that can just body shot you for the rest of the damage, you really cannot compete. It's kind of insane. So I get it, and I know it is some people's playstyle, but it is kind of one of those combinations that's damn near hard to counter if somebody's very good. Again, that's why a really good bow person, I would actually always fear them, because it's like, oh crap. The blow change is not massive, but should move the total time for a bow swap kill to be closer to other primary weapons, giving players a better opportunity to fight back against it. Still probably going to be a higher skill thing. You probably won't have as much time to react, but it is going to be one of those things that's probably a little harder to pull off. Or at least you are going to have a little more damage coming at you while you do. So they increase the bow stow duration from 0 to 100 handling stat. So let's see, 0.4 seconds to 0.2 seconds, 0.44 seconds to 0.2 seconds. After 0 to 100, before it was that, okay, after, oh, from 0 to 100. So now, basically everything shifted to be a little bit longer. You won't be able to get down to 0.2 with handling. It's going to be 0.3 or 0.33. So it's just going to be a little bit longer. It's still quick, but again, it's just a little bit longer. They're trying not to make that, you know, quick switch a little less like just insanely fast. Pulse rifles are strong in the current sandbox, both due to the reduced dominance of other mid and long-range weapons and the availability of multiple easily acquirable craftable strong options. I love my Insidious from the raid, still use it today. In addition, a few balance passes back, we buff the range a moderate amount. But in the current sandbox, we no longer feel that they need that help across the board. As such, we have removed the range bonus at the low end, while retaining it at the high end to continue rewarding those who spec into range without giving the same advantage to those who do not. So if you want to use pulse rifles at farther range, you are going to need to lean into it more, basically is what it says. So we've rebalanced the stat to decrease the effects slightly at the low end and raise them at the high end. So adaptive frame pulse rifles have not been favored since the bygone era. We believe this change will be enough to increase their strength relative to other pulse rifles without pushing them too far into the meta. As for rapid fire, it's like 540's Peace of Mind, for example, has an out-of-band zoom stat that allows it to compete at longer ranges than would be expected. So it will be the first of multiple zoom outliers we'll be looking at bringing to line over the next season. General. Increase the effects of handling by 5% at the high end, mostly affects lightweight and adaptive. Reduce the effects of handling by 2% at the low end for high impact. So basically, if it's a high impact or rapid fire, the handling is going to be basically less beneficial the lower it is, and then switch that for the other one. Adjusted damage fall off scaling, add the range stat. 0 range reduced from 16 to 15, 100 range unchanged. Pretty much it. So if the lower your range is, the slight difference that you're going to feel. Adaptive frame pulse rifles increase the precision multiplier from 1.6 to 1.65. Crit goes up by literally 1. This allows a weapon to kill the Guardian below tier 4 with 6 crits, 2 bursts. That's fair. Rapid fire, Peace of Mind, base zoom reduced from 19 to 18. Not too dramatic. Again, they're doing tweaks, but they're not absolutely killing things. High impact scouts reduce the body damage from 42 to 40 and crit damage from 73 to 70. Okay, I gotta read why. When we buffed high impact scout rifles, the main goal was to get them off the floor by reducing how punishing hitting body shots was. We overbuffed them a bit, going too far as to make the optimal TTK more forgiving and allowing low resilience as well. This has made them slightly too easy to use for a weapon with functionally unlimited range, especially for the maps, so they're kind of making some small tweaks there. Okay, sidearms. Interestingly, sidearms have long had substantially less auto-aim range compared to a damage range. So increase the auto-aim fall-off distance by 30%. So if you enjoy sidearms, if you're a true Vanguard fan and you enjoy your sidearms, might feel a little more fun. Depends. I gotta find a sidearm I really like. I'm just kind of feeling SMGs right now, so hopefully they don't kill them right here. We wanted to be very careful touching SMGs as we believe that most of them are in a good place. However, in-game And in playtest, it has become apparent that some SMGs can be used well outside of this distance effectively, and has made it difficult for other weapons to compete, kind of like sidearms. As mentioned above, some outliers in the precision frame subfamily have an out-of-band zoom value. So we got lightweight frame SMGs, reduced damage fall-off end, the distance at which the damage dealt with the weapon in hipfire reaches its lowest point, from 24 to 23. So literally, if you're at 24, if you're at 23 meters with an SMG, you're not going to be doing much. Precision frame SMGs increase the base damage from 16 to 17, increase crit by 1.4, reduce the zoom of Shire's Wrath, Adept, and Friction Fire down to 15. They're kind of bringing some of the zooms in line. And lightweight frame SMGs reduce the base damage from 11 to 10.85, which is just ridiculously small. Crit damage came down a smidge. Lightweight SMGs, apparently they're just trying to like, don't be just a little bit. Fusion rifles. Precision frame fusion rifles have seen an uptick in usage since we buffed them. Picture main ingredient. That's the one you're probably thinking of. So precision frame fusion rifle change. Reduce the effect of intrinsic precision frame perk has on recoil direction by 50% for fusion rifles only. Yeah, basically it was just people were mapping people with these things. They're really strong. So specifically the ones like precision frames that are just absolutely lethal for people, they're trying to bring them back a little bit, which we'll see how it is if they kill it too much, but it's just the recoil direction though. So it's just probably going to be a little less reliable when you're trying to go for those longer kills. Glaives have been difficult to counter when they have a shield energy, but this change should address that. We will continue to keep an eye on Glaive's shield damage resistance in the future, especially when their improved hit registration changes coming in Season 19. Reduced Glaive shield damage resistance versus players, which is good, because if you use it in PvP, it's still kind of nice. 75% to 50%. Damage from player supers unchanged at 50%. Damage from non-players unchanged at 97.5%. Yeah, Glaives can keep you alive through a bunch of stuff in PvE, so they're still strong there. Snipers. We've made several changes trying to make challenging a sniper rifle more feasible over the years, but ultimately, Flinchworks made this tricky to do in a way that did make them feel worse to use, particularly in PvE. Honestly, in PvE, I think it's more damage than anything right now, but one day, maybe sniper rifles will be fun in PvE again. One day. Linears are just too strong. Under the hood, incoming damage causes a player's aim to deflect by an angle. If you're aiming and you get hit, it's like what angle you're going to go. Under the hood, incoming, let's see. Depending on the weapon type and damage amount. And then there's a spring force that pulls aim back down. For spring nerds out there, this is defined as a dampening ratio on spring force. So what do they do? Because that's a lot of words. Increase the settle time after receiving flinch by 60%. So it's like if you get knocked off, it's not going to like snap back. It's going to take a little bit longer to come back. Reduced received flinch in PvE. Thank you. Good. Because if you're using a sniper in PvE, that's kind of not where you need to worry about flinch. Now that this is sufficient playtest time, we're making a similar change to linear fusions in Season 19. As long as there's no PvE flinch on either of these, I'm okay. Like, PvP, I'm not a big sniper, and I'm sure it's just hell to be a sniper in PvP because it's just a moving target, it feels like, but I mean, it feels like if you're aimed down sights and you get hit, logically you shouldn't probably still have a very good shot. That's just me, though, but everybody probably has a different opinion there. Trace rifles. General bullet point, increase the effect the stability stat has on recoil reduction at the low end by approximately 10% and at the high end by about 25%. They're just trying to make them more stable. We found that a small increase in damage had a dramatic and negative effect in terms of how they felt to play against. Imagine constantly being killed by an out-of-bounds or rampage at 30 to 35 meters. Yeah, because they do a lot of damage quickly, so if you can hit them, it still hurts. So again, they're more stable. They didn't want to bring up damage. Still not sure they're great in PvE, but I guess we'll see how that goes. Rocket launchers. Increase the blast radius by 0.4 meters across the board. It's one of those things I'm like, that is such a weird change, like such a specific thing. Although rocket launchers see passable use in PvP, they lag far behind heavy weapons like linear fusions and heavy grenade launchers in effectiveness, due in large part to their inability to get multiple kills per magazine without targets being grouped closely together. With the increase to blast radius, that's why. So a little bit of blast radius. They don't want to give it like 3 meters and have you kill half the map, but yeah, just a smidge. Perks. Got shot straight, they remove the audio from activation. It's probably fine. Rangefinder, remove the additional 20% bonus on aim assist fall off. Everything's still going to mostly be there, the zoom and everything else. It's just the aim assist fall off is not going to get that bonus. Exotics, Jade Rabbit, reduced aim assist by 20%. That's probably fine. Lord of Wolves. All right, this will be discussed by Lord Cognito. Okay, so when Release the Wolves is active, reduce aim down sights accuracy penalty 10 times to 3x. Gah, that's massive. Remove the 25% universal base damage buff. Added a 40% additional PvE buff. Remove the 50% critical hit multiplier penalty. Added full auto as an intrinsic perk. That's just going to be one you have to feel out, honestly. No Time to Explain has been really popular. Tested several changes and decided on a significant reduction to the recoil direction stat, which spreads out the burst a noticeable but not uncontrollable amount. So the recoil direction 90 would be almost perfectly vertical. 73 is definitely going to give it a little angle and reduce the aim assist just a smidge. It's really strong. Pulse rifles are very, very strong. And this one specifically is up there. So it is one of those that I kind of expected. I think that's a way to, especially if people are fighting at far ranges, you mess with the recoil direction, miss a shot or two here, makes the fight a little bit more manageable. Risk Runner, reduced damage resistance versus players when Arc Superconductor is active from 50% to 15%. So if you take Risk Runner into PvP, it's not going to save you very much. Future items. In addition to the items mentioned in last week's TWAB, this is a long video. Sorry, everybody. We want to make note of a few more things tuning next season. Special ammo linear fusion rifles, Lawrence and Arbalist. Trying to lower the aim assist and also flinch tuning. Okay. Machine guns. Make them a better heavy PvP option. Okay. I'd be curious about that one. Reduce the difference between them and other heavy weapons in PvE. I love machine guns, so I totally support this right here. If machine guns get stronger in PvE, then I'm down. They want them to be ad clearing. But again, it's a heavy weapon, and if your heavy can't do DPS, you really do hamstring yourself. Make them less punishing to use for ad clearing. Remove the damage penalty to Dead Man's Tale at 5 stacks. Yeah, that's probably good. So we got player support. So we're going to have the update for Festival of the Lost. Standard 15-minute, patch time. Pretty standard. The Gerfalcon's Hawbrick Exotic Hunter chest piece. You guys are going to get to season 19 before you get to use that thing. Sorry, it just seems to be that way. Dawn Chorus Exotic Helmet doesn't appear in collections, so if you get one, don't delete it. Players can sometimes die when transporting. Yeah, duality is still not fixed, by the way. They know it's an issue, they just haven't fixed it yet, which really sucks that, the recent dungeon has issues of killing you. It's not great. I haven't run it that much lately, but it's fine. Some players are unable to place relics. That kind of sucks for the story. Lore and laughs. Shout out to the artists and the videos of the week. Always very cool. There we have it. This week's TWAB, we know it was a lot of info to share all at once, so please feel free to sound off on socials with any questions you might have. We're always learning and adjusting our communication methods. Okay, so it's time to get back out there. Thank you for hanging out with us. So yeah, that's the TWAB. If you want to check out the podcast, it will be live tonight, 7 p.m. right here on YouTube. You'll see that one, and then it's up on audio platforms everywhere later on. Again, if you want to check out Advanced GG, whether it's hydration without caffeine, focus, or the new energy drinks, use code Ebontis. And if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the alert bell, dropped a video on the First Ascendant, which I think has some potential, needs some polishing, but we'll see when that thing actually releases. And if you want to find me on Twitter or Twitch, you can find me there. If you enjoyed this one, drop a like, leave a comment, say hello. See you in the next one.